my word. Honest to God, this is the second time I've seen the film. I was blown away the first time. Seeing it on a big screen with this sound system here, it's just 1,000 times better. Honest to God. What an amazing, amazing experience. Godfrey, this is your first film in quite a few years, and it is so different from all your other films. It's a wonderful, wonderful mixture of live action animation that is delightful, scary, full of surprises, wildly comic, and so seemingly unlike the filmmaker we know and love. How did you come to conceive this film? How did this amazing film come to be born?
Well, you know, it's a very good question. I'm not quite sure the answer, so I'll maybe be the last to know, but let me try.
Okay.
When I was about 440 months old, I was involved with Koyaanisqatsi. When I was about 736 months old, I was involved with Ani Mamundi, and Ray Jimenez took it all over to festivals. I didn't go, and kids reacted immediately to it. And I had been wanting to do something for kids before Koyaanisqatsi. I wanted to make a project about what's going on in Santa Fe, but I didn't know how to do it. That will happen later now with the people here essay. So what I'm trying to say is that when I hit about 980 months old, it all was clear to me, before that, from the time of the seven, it was clear it took 9 years to make a baby of 51 pounds. And I needed to work with people that were as outsane as myself, and John and Greer and Mara and all the crew, and John Flax, who when you see his face, he doesn't have to do anything. He's the man with the face. So that's how it came about. And begin, and the work will show you how. Leap, and the net will appear. Work with people more talented than you that are willing to tolerate to learn your language, which this language is a language that's not to the rational mind because our words don't describe our world. It's a reboost. The etymology of reboost says that when the word no longer describes the world, then it is by object, not by word, but by object, by deed. So there's not a word spoken in here except the sound of music and the score of Philip Glass and the people that made it. And that is bypassing metaphor and goes directly into your soul. That's why the state controls the Star-Spangled Banner and the church, the Dies Irae, but I stole it because I used to be, I'm not in the church is in me. So we had Dies Irae twice.
There you go. When we first met and I watched the film with you, you described this film to me as a film that you wanted to be geared for children. Though as an adult who has a large inner child within myself, I'd say you made it for me too.
Yes.
But why make a film geared to children? What do you hope to convey to an audience, kind of through this genre of this children's film that you've made?
Well, here's the thing, we're here in a theater, but there's a war going on. This is not entertainment, excuse me. You might think it is, but it's not. This is the hell cell. And it's going on right now. So it's not to your right, to your left brain. It doesn't work. We need a reboost. It's to your right brain. It's to the subterranean, the subconscious, which is what art, if it's lucky or bold enough, has access to speak through. So that's what it's about, and it's about children. They're not of our future, they are the future. So there's a war going on for them. It's not, as I said, tragic, it's criminal. So as I said, we are criminal to fight criminals. We are childish to bear children. And this is as real as can be. We're not waiting for the catastrophe. It's here, and John Kane can tell you the rest. raised a
what?
child.
What's so striking to me about the film is that it's gorgeous. It is so beautiful, but it has the most unusual visual look to it. It's like you went back to the beginning of film, and you're using this color from like the 20s and 30s, a monochromatic thing. You put dust and scratches on the film. You're using irises in, like in the silent movies.
Yes.
How did you two arrive at this amazing visual?
He got it together with Greer. They worked on it for years.
Well, Godfrey's idea from the beginning was to try to. We started with a book of stills from the first hand-colored films from the 1890s. So that was always sort of a direction that we were trying to take. It was a matter of how do we do that digitally, hand painting and the whole thing, and not make it look like it's digital. So it was a lot of experimenting and a lot of discovering of techniques and things and stuff.
Right.
And but that was the idea from the beginning. Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, it's remarkable because it feels like it's handmade. This is a digital technology wonderland here that you put on the screen, but it looks like it's all handmade.
Well, it basically was handmade. We used computers.
72 frames, 33 degrees deep on the soundtrack and the image.
Godfrey, use your mic.
Yeah. So it's complex. It's a complexity.
But we did literally build, the sets, this miniature sets by hand. So it was a combination of handmade analog things that we then put together, with the help of the computer to try to blend them together and still have it have a handmade, feeling.
Right.
So we worked really hard to make it look like it wasn't made with the help of computers.
Well, you succeeded brilliantly, if you ask me. Honestly, I felt like I was transformed back to the beginning of cinema. I really do.
That's good to hear.
It's
That's
just
what we're trying to do.
in that regard. The other thing about the film is that it's a dream. The whole thing is a dream. I mean, it's from the beginning to the end. You just feel like I felt like I was asleep. I was dreaming. I was dreaming this whole film, and it was like like in a dream with images that don't quite connect, don't quite coalesce, don't quite have clear meaning. But you keep grasping at it while you're dreaming and trying to figure out what it is. And that's just a remarkable quality that the film has. I've never seen a film that...
This is amazing. You asked about children, and a lot of people look at the film and they say, well, that's not a children's movie. But we had screenings with rooms filled with kids, and that's the part that works for kids is first of all, it moves quickly so they can't get bored. It keeps switching around, but they put the images together in their own way, and then it starts a discussion at the end about, what did this mean, and why were the phones so scary and so big, and that's the idea of the film, is to have kids hopefully ask the adults what the film is about, and it starts a discussion about technology and about the climate and the earth and how are cell phones wonderful but also dangerous. So that's what happens. Kids ask questions, and it starts a conversation.
Right, gotcha.
Let me say this. The film was designed to be at once linear and non-linear at exactly the same time. So this and that, not this or that.
Well, and kids really like that. I mean, they actually, they like dream imagery.
And it's designed to be completely clear and completely ambiguous at the same time. So people will say, well, what does this mean? And I said, if I answered that, then you wouldn't get to answer the question. So it's made to disturb you like a dream, or to enhance you. You keep repeating in the dream state. It's aimed at your reptilian brain, not kidding, which is connected to the lobes. Okay? And we hear things there that our ears don't hear. It's an amazing place, and it takes care of the right and left up here. Mm-hmm. So it's ooga mooga, it's magic. It produces what it signifies, like marijuana, kids. It gets you high, it produces what it signifies. If you had a ring on your finger, That would be a sign of your devotion. But it doesn't produce that devotion. But if you have faith, and the sacrament produces what it signifies. So beyond the body and blood, we have the world being produced in the image and likeness of the computer chip. No kidding. And we're all implicated in this film, from the child that is here at 6.5 months old to 2 years to 7 years. Each one of us are implicated because we have gone blind. Not only the blind can't see, technology's the new sun. We're all sun gazers and we're blind. So it's an attempt to re-see the world.
Also, the soundtrack is amazing. It's just amazing to me. It's the combination of Philip Glass's music with those unbelievable sound effects that you've got threaded through the whole thing, with other composers' music, old-time jazz that runs through it, your Iranian singer who is just amazing in the film. It's just, the soundtrack is as multi-layered as the images are. And again, how did you arrive at this wonderful weaving of all of these oral elements that help? I mean, they just enhance the images in a beautiful way that
Think of speaking in tongues. Think of speaking in tongues. It's hearing things that aren't connected but are totally connected with the maestro playing the composition and John and his crew do the score.
Mm-hmm. Right. It was a long process.
I bet it was.
It was a long process, Godfrey. Yeah, it's hard to explain how and why we arrived, but the process of making the film guided us on how to make the film. Mm-hmm. Time was the first thing. Philip composes the music after watching. He comes to the studio and he watches a lot of material. He came to a lot of the shoots, and then he goes off and he writes, and we get the material back. The first thing was editing that material. It was the first time we ever edited one of his his compositions, and then in doing that, we start to arrive at other things to add as we're making the images. We'll make some images and then experiment with some sound, and goes back and forth, and then the process, makes this stew, and we arrive at this seemingly very complicated thing, which it is, but it wasn't something that we thought up. It thought us up, in the process of doing it.
Gotcha.
I have a question. In the middle of the theater here, this way and that way, I lost my wallet. Oh. Could you guys in the middle look, please? It's there, I'm pretty sure. I can't find it. If I don't have it, I'm dead. Okay. Not a phone.
Really?
A wallet. The Apple Card, all that shit.
Hey.
Somebody found it? No?
They got it?
What color is it?
It's leather color. It's small. Please. I'll give you a reward if you have it. You don't have to name yourself. Okay, we'll figure it in. Thank you. Okay.
Godfrey, can you talk a little bit about Philip Glass? I mean, it's been an amazing collaboration over all these years that the two of you have had. How did that come about? And
well,
how do you work with him? How does it...
Philip doesn't like film. He walks out on Tarkovsky films. He likes The Jerk. That's his famous film. I've seen it a zillion times with him. Okay. So when I heard that a woman named Marcia Mikulak, who's not here tonight, or maybe so, is a pianist and a composer, and she gave me a tutorial on the living artist of the day. My crew wished me to have Beethoven, Mozart. I never met them, so It's hard to truly collaborate. The music is not an appendage. It's part of the making of. So the moment I heard Philip Glass, Penderecki, and Tomita, and Stockhausen, I realized I loved them all, but only one was workable, Philip Glass, who music always ascends and never arrives, always descends. It's always a foreground and a background. And in the films we do together, we strip out of the film the characterization, the plot, the narrative, and we make the narrative visible through body language, and we take the background and make it the foreground. So we're looking at the building like, I don't know, Donald Trump or Marilyn Monroe, whatever your age bracket be. And so that's where we shoot. That's the genius loci. And Philip is hicked into it. Philip's ego is about the size of the World Trade Centers. But he has no vanity of ego. He wants to hear your criticisms. And that's why he and I could have worked with other people on these movies. We've worked together for almost 50 years. We're the longest collaborators together, not because we had to, because we wanted to. So he realized, here's Suzanne Dyham. He says, Jesus, what do you, he says, I can't write for her. And then Brian Ballot comes in and he said, that's too much. So he said, I want them, give you the score with the team here, join, but you conjure with Suzanne, you conjugate with Brian, with Kay, with the people, with Mike Tyson, the criminal, the man, the Nazarene.
The thing that's different, though, about the way the music is made for these films and any other kind of film is that he's not scoring to the picture, and we're not taking music that he's already made and working to that. Mm-hmm. He, as we're making the films, he's coming to the studio and the shoots, like I said, and we call it marinate. We marinate Philip in the material. He listens, every morning we have a meeting with Godfrey. Godfrey talks, and we listen, and Philip listens and absorbs. And this takes, in the case of this film, it was for a year until he felt that he had absorbed enough, and then he goes off, and we get demos back, and we feed back on it, and blah, blah, but we don't edit to the music. In other words, the music and the picture are made in tandem, and then finally we start to put the picture, to the music. But I don't think there's any other example of film where that's done.
Here's the deal. To construct, more likely, the image, it's made up of two aspects, the visual and the aural. One without the other is, as they say, the dawn without a day, or the vivid unknown. So Philip is able to work within that construct, and it allows us to do things that, as John was saying, we couldn't do.
Right, and the basic concept of how it works is that, and we, Philip and Godfrey and I would talk about this, that the picture alone is incomplete and the music is incomplete, but when they come together, the audience in watching it makes the connection, and that's hopefully why the films become a personal experience, right. Not one where we're saying, this is the scary part and this is this part. So that's a conscious, decision.
It's personal. We don't like people. We like persons. And we're starting a church if you want to join. So please, we're going to all wear black with stripes on it. We're going to jail.
Oh, my word. The film is also filled with amazing images. It's just, how do you come up with these ideas, like the hourglass with the people inside?
Being as stoned as possible.
That's true for him.
Let me say this. These are not the result of meditation. That takes virtue. These are the result of contemplation. You don't have to have virtue. It's a gift from the gods. It's called enthusiasm, enthos, the God within. The very word interest comes from that. So if the God gives you that, then it's your job to make the word flesh. Not to say the word, but to show the word.
I'll say that
that could be very painful.
The hourglass image with the people inside has been in the what do you call them, the books that Godfrey's been making and developing the film since the beginning. So that was an idea that he had thought up as the film went. We've been developing this for 9 years.
Right.
So it started as it was going to be a 3D IMAX movie. Tough to get the money for that. Then it became an opera for a while. Robert Wilson got involved. Now we're making an opera. And then, but all through all those stages, that particular image was something that was always there. How we were going to make it was another thing, but he had it drawn from the beginning.
So Godfrey, you create an image.
Can you hear me? Yeah. This gives artificial authority to the agency. Everything he's saying, I'm hearing in the back of the room coming at me.
That's the idea.
Thank you.
I know, it's true. It's really awkward. But essentially what you do is you create an image book then. You collect images.
A mood book.
A mood book, okay. And that becomes the inspiration for the sequences as you start to flesh it all out.
Jimenez, my wife, and Dennis Larkin in this case, and then with John and Greer, and we figure it out.
Yeah, there are some starting points. Not every image, but that one in particular was pre-illustrated. But yeah, there are some sort of totem images that we have and ideas, and then it goes off from there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, another striking thing to me was the children with the giant cell phones, and then their faces, all of a sudden, it's like the facial recognition grid comes over their faces. It's a really, really striking moment in the film, I think. I find it oddly moving. It's scary and...
It's going to a children's barbecue.
Yeah.
That's humorous, but not funny.
No, honestly, it's just a terrifying image, It just grabs me. Both times I've seen it, it just punched me in the gut, It just is so strong. And the opening image with the Iranian singer, that costume that you created for her, the tree.
Machine Dazzle, where is he?
Where's Machine?
There he is.
There's the man.
Incredible costume designer.
It is such a beautiful and striking image, and the way it's moving in kind of slow motion, it's just...
Machine, come tell us about it.
Come on up here, young man.
Please, this guy is fantastic. What?
So yeah,
Hi.
Talk to us, Machine.
Well, I will say that a really great costume needs a really great model, and I had Susan. Well, you wanted a tree. We were talking about trees, the mother muse, the earth speaking, and so I don't know, I created this tree thing, and I wanted it to move, and we put fans on it, and it was made out of all kinds of things. There was fabric, there was like thin plastic stretched so that it would be very thin and floaty, and then those were those manzanilla branches, which are my favorite branches to use. And I will say that it was kind of a trick. I wanted it to be as comfortable as possible. The headdress ended up being so heavy that Susan couldn't actually wear it. You couldn't balance, so we actually suspended it from the ceiling, and she put her head in. And when we did that, then I made it even bigger. And
You mentioned that it's slow motion, so we made it difficult on Suzanne because we actually shot. So she's in sync, but it's in slow motion. So if you think about that, we have to speed up the soundtrack. So the soundtrack's playing at double speed, and we're shooting in slow motion, so that when we slow it down, it's still in sync. So she had to sing all that stuff super fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you were very patient.
She did a great job.
Patient.
Suzanne, where is she? Come on up. Where is she? Greer, you should come up too.
Okay.
Where's Greer? Raunik, the whole crew. You guys got to come up. Here, I'll sit here. Greer is really the genius behind how exactly we did the digital effects. Mm-hmm. Without Greer, it would have been just stick figures. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, incredible.
No, it's really extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. I was curious, what are you singing? Is the lyric, does the lyric make sense? Is it just...
Well, I've sung, 40 years of no languages, because I come from Iran, but I was blessed with and cursed with this being exiled from Iran because of the nature of my work. And then because of that, I had the chance to travel to North Africa, to Southeast Asia. And so I've become my passion has become the study of indigenous vocal techniques from all over the world, mm-hmm. and the science of creating those sounds with the same two vocal cords the size of a quarter.
Yeah.
Whether you sing Wagner or the Pygmies or Persian classical music, is the same vocal structure that can create this incredible soundscape. So that has become my sonic world, for which I can't quite come up with an Indonesian melody and do the language properly, and so it became always like I just create my own languages.
Mm-hmm. But you had to learn it in a way, because when we had to do it fast, the lip sync to it, and suddenly we realized she actually had to remember.
Yes, I mean I had to
exactly what it was, and it was all gibberish. So it became
the material
tricky.
is composed. It's not improvisational, and it's harmonically it's pretty precise. But I actually, when John told me, I said, "So do you mean I have to actually sing this fast?" He says, "Yes." So how fast? And the fast was like
double speed.
And then suddenly it was
when we shot it, it didn't look.
He says,
or it seemed it looked and sounded ridiculous. Yeah.
So I had to memorize my own gibberish the night before until some time, and then literally sing it. And then they slowed it down to and it was just really like a ballad. And I love what happened visually, because I look pretty spaced out, which is really my favorite. I look like I totally understand the destruction as cosmos, and I'm like, okay, it's possible to get out of this shit.
I didn't honestly think it was necessarily going to be possible at first, because when you play this stuff back at double speed, it's really like.
That part was really fast, because it's, even in a slow version of it is fast. So. Yeah, it was hard to do it fast and stay cosmic, but
and in sync. Yeah.
But the spirit of Godfrey, it's a privilege really to be part of this project. It's just, I watched it. It's the first time I'm watching it on a full screen, and
so Greer, have you noticed there were the kids on a carousel? So the carousel is this big. And one of the first, when I knew all the tricks that we wanted to try were going to work, when the first thing we had to figure out was how do we, shoot the live action people and then actually have it seem as though they're going in a circle. And Greer figured it out. Tell us how we did that.
I mean, it's just math, you know. No, it's
Just math.
No, it's. I mean, the theme of this whole project for a lot of us, I think, was being able to work on the beginning, middle, and the end, which you just never get to do. So we could do tests, we could film, we could, you know, I could be there when we're filming the children, and I could take the footage and actually work with it, and that's so rare that you can actually
It was like in
collaborate.
the studio days. We could shoot and test and shoot and test, and we didn't have to book any. We made the entire film in our own studio, so there was no booking of studio time, and we just tested and tested and tested.
Yeah, and that's. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to really, you know, work from beginning to end. That's just no one ever wants someone to do that. They want this person to shoot, this person to light, this person to do sound, but we really just were able to dig in and build it from beginning to end, which was, yeah, it's not another project like this is gonna come along.
Well, I think that method of working all of you together in that way and trying to problem solve constantly and keep improving the images or figuring out what's the best way to make them work. I mean, it's just so creative and so freeing in a certain way in terms of making a movie.
You know, we had a certain amount of money to work with, which wasn't nearly what we originally went out to raise. So we had to be clever, and we do the guest artist things and stuff. And one of the things you tell young filmmakers and artists is that limitations are really, a gift. So we had to figure these things out on our own because we didn't have the money to hire a studio or somebody else to do it. And we tested and figured the stuff out for a year before we shot anything. It's all testing. Does this work? Does that work? We had to deal with fire. We had never done fire before. It's a lot of looking at YouTube videos and being like, does that work? Or so yeah.
Oh my word. Well, you put together a remarkable creative team, Godfrey. I mean, it's just honestly, it's all up there on the screen. You can see it all. I know that you folks want to get off to the party and rightly celebrate this amazing achievement that you've created here. But just one last question for you, Godfrey. All of your films are so unique. I mean, I don't think anybody has ever created such striking cinematic poetry. You have bequeathed on the art form a remarkable legacy. Do you have any final thoughts about your work?
Have what?
Do you have any final thoughts about your work, about what you have tried to achieve through your art over all these years?
Not really. I don't. I'm not looking for finality. I'm looking to be fixed at some point.
No, I hope it's not final. I'm just saying.
I'm listening to the wind. I'm listening to the earth, air, water, fire, and money, if anybody has some here. Okay. That's what I'm listening to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not going to direct anything. I have a couple of projects, one here and one in New York, if it happens, and the people involved in it will be the directors, and I'm the consigliere.
Okay. Well, listen, you've given us a great gift, honestly, all these years. You've given us a great gift, Godfrey. All of these films live in here, they live in here, and I'm so grateful, and I think this audience also is equally grateful for what you've done. And also, to me, it's the freedom that you've allowed your collaborators who work with you for the input that they give to this gift that you're giving to us. It's a remarkable way.
1 + 1 = 3. Think of that one.
Okay.
The greatest prayer.
But thank you very, very much for premiering your film here to the Santa Fe Independent Film Festival, and it's been a wonderful evening. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you guys for coming.
Look, as you can see, life is out of bounds. And here today, what is this, 1968 Christopher Ray Bingo tonight. So I'm here to give me a bingo award. So what I want to say is that any film I do is a conjugation. I always work with more people, more talent than I, truly, and I collaborate. And what that means is I speak, and I speak, and I speak, and I keep speaking, they keep listening, and their vibration makes better in flesh the idea that I was speaking about. So did you hear what I said? Yeah. So what I want to say is that when it's I, it means we. And I want to recognize, if I could remember everybody's name, there's Mr. Lawrence Taub. He's the... Michael Fitzgerald, who took me on in a bar and got Al Gore on the phone, he said, "Come over to dinner, please." Where's Michael? And then Ray Jimenez with an H. Yes. He's my shadow, my light. And my wife, Marty, who keeps me alive, who suffers for me, suffers through all the films, and she is giving birth to her babies aboard now. Marty, where's... And now to the people who realize this, some of them refugees or sneaking in from all over the planet, average age 27, except for a few. John Caney, my co-director. Baudelaire says that childhood is genius recovered. Here is my genius, John. Thank you. And here's Greer Dill. Where's Greer? Where's Greer? He takes all the things you're going to see. And Mara Carboni, who is the beautiful man that squeaks with her voice every day, keeps everyone laughing. Where's Mara? The producer. And then I want to acknowledge a diva that I can't even explain, Suzanne Diham from Iran. And I want to acknowledge Apollo and Tara and the Apple Man, who was so clear just now. I don't know what to say. And I want to acknowledge Machine Dazzle, who makes all the gizmos for the kids to wear. And then a special guest you'll see in a minute wears his. And I want to especially acknowledge Kay Winter. Where's Kay? Stand up. Kay, where's Kay? Where's Kay? Kay is the child that we couldn't put her as an assistant director because Mara and Larry said that's not possible, but she translated everything that Greer and Todd, where is Tricia? Where's Tricia? Stand up. She shot everything on the gizmo. So, please, I'll make it short. I want to thank the people that created Koyaanisqatsi with me, Alvin Walpole, Ron Quickey, Brown Warren, and Walpole Dallas, want to say that without them, this wouldn't be here today, so thank you. And I want to thank the Barrio families. While different and maybe had their differences, it's from you that I got all my inspiration, and you were the first children that I had, because I'm childless to have children. So thank you guys for being here. Not a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm on my 1,000th month. And I'm going to receive a half a lifetime because I don't do fairy tales, I do boarding tales. Fairy tales have happy endings. I'm going to do a resolute beginning.